Greetings and welcome to Infodome, where we curate facts about a wide selection of topics for you to feed your curiosity. In this series, we are travelling across the cosmos to give you facts about the solar system. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. It's endured the unflinching glare of the Sun for billions of years. It is also the smallest of the 8 planets in our solar system. So let's get straight into the video and learn more about this fleet-footed planet. Not only is Mercury the closest planet to the Sun, but it is also the smallest. It is only slightly larger than Earth's moon. Despite its size, you can see Mercury with your naked eye, along with 4 other planets: Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. All of these planets were named after a god in ancient Rome. The names were associated with the characteristics of each god. Mercury is named after the messenger of the Roman gods, who is also known as Hermes in Greek mythology. This is because of the speed in which Mercury orbits the Sun, and the speed with which Mercury, the deity, was able to deliver messages. Not only was the planet named after the Roman god, but so too was the element. The symbol, Hg, that Mercury is known by comes from the Greek name hydrargum, which means liquid silver, to reflect its shiny surface. The element is also known as quicksilver for its mobility, which is how it got its name, Mercury. Despite its speed around the Sun, it only spins 3 times on its axis during one revolution of the Sun, and that, in turn, means its day is twice as long as its year. That also means that you could walk over the surface at a nice slow pace and keep the Sun at the same point in the sky. The distance from Earth to Mercury is vast. It would take us nearly 7 years to travel there. As Mercury is so close to the Sun, it is therefore one of the brightest planets, and we can see in our sky. So, when the planet tracks behind the Sun and the illuminated side is facing us, you must try and see it. Mercury was a very important astronomical discovery for its time. The Italian astronomer Giovanni Zuppi observed Mercury in 1639. Due to its eccentric orbit, Zuppi could not understand how this body could possibly orbit the Earth. It didn't track across the sky perfectly, so he knew it couldn't orbit us. Mercury's orbit is highly elliptical. The distance from the Sun ranges from 46 million kilometers at its perihelion, the closest point in orbit, to nearly 70 million kilometers from the Sun when it's at its aphelion, the farthest point in its orbit. This was yet more evidence to prove we lived in a heliocentric system where all the planets orbit the Sun in the solar system. So this was a very important discovery, all because of Mercury's strange, elliptical orbit around the Sun. Mercury, all in all, is odd. Its spin is constant. It doesn't speed up or slow down. However, its motion around the Sun is faster at perihelion than aphelion. At aphelion, Mercury's spin is slightly quicker than its orbital speed, so the Sun moves rapidly in the sky. But at perihelion, the Sun appears to stop in the sky and then actually move backwards for a few days. Then, as Mercury's orbit slows down, the Sun resumes its westward journey across the sky. No evidence for life has been found on Mercury. We cannot observe its surface from telescopes, so we have relied on probes to conduct flybys of the surface. The Mariner probes conducted 3 flybys in the 1970s and managed to map half of the surface. In 2011, the Messenger probe did a series of flybys and returned a series of beautiful images, revealing some of Mercury's secrets. The surface is like that of the Moon. It's unlike most planets. Because Mercury isn't geologically active and cannot self-heal from any of the impacts with asteroids and comets throughout its history. It appears that Mercury has had a tough start in life. We can see that from all the craters and impact marks that it has on its surface, which is more than any other planet. The largest crater discovered is the Caloris Basin, which is 1,600 kilometers across. Most craters on Mercury are named after famous writers, composers, and artists. Some of the heavy hitters on Earth, which have been immortalized on the rocky planet, are Beethoven, Shakespeare, Chopin, Debussy, even Tolkien. Mercury's thin atmosphere, or exosphere, is composed mostly of oxygen, sodium, hydrogen, helium, and potassium. Atoms that are blasted off the surface by the solar wind and meteoroid impacts create Mercury's exosphere. Due to this thin atmosphere and low gravity, Mercury was unable to keep hold of any smaller rocky bodies to form a moon. Any moons which may have formed have long since been expelled into space. Mercury may not have a moon or rings, but it has a tail. The crust of the planet is constantly being blown away by solar winds. This has formed a comet-like tail, tens of millions of kilometers long. Even though Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, it is not the hottest. Venus, though further away from the Sun than Mercury, experiences higher temperatures. This is because Mercury has no atmosphere to regulate temperature and results in the most extreme temperature changes of all the planets. Daytime temperatures can reach 430 degrees Celsius, that's 800 degrees Fahrenheit, and drop to minus 180 degrees Celsius, or minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit at night. The closest planet to the Sun does indeed have ice on its surface. That sounds surprising at first glance, but the ice is found in permanently shadowed craters, those that never receive any sunlight. It is unlikely, as we know it, that life could survive on this planet. The Messenger probe was able to take more than just images of Mercury's surface. By tracking radio signals emitted from the spacecraft, scientists were able to map out Mercury's gravitational field. In doing so, they were able to take a cross-section through the planet to see what it was made of. We know the surface is rocky, and it is as dense as the Earth, so it has an iron core, like Earth. In fact, scientists believe the iron core may be the same size as Earth's, so it accounts for 85% of Mercury's internal structure. It is believed during the early stages of the formation of our solar system, all the planets were fighting for position, and Mercury was born 170 million kilometers away, close to the orbit of Mars, a place where, if it would have stayed, its evolution could have been very different. It is thought during this period something large kicked Mercury inward towards the Sun. A collision with another embryonic planet saw much of its crust and mantle lost to space. Mercury's new position, closer to the Sun, has meant it was stripped of a lot of its external structure, and early bombardments have caused its size to be dramatically reduced. We have looked at the planet's structure, history, and relationship to the Sun. We know this is one strange planet with crazy days and bizarre temperatures. Despite being hot and so close to the Sun, there are deep ice craters. Join us next time, where we will discover the secrets of a volcanic beauty, Venus.